the evidence is very clear that just in general, exercise is useful, like aerobic exercise, resistance training, training, yoga, tai chi, all of those types of exercises are useful for improving mood. The important aspect is that the exercise needs to be something that a person likes enough that they continue to do it.
Hello, everyone. This is Melissa.
And I'm Kristen, and this is Mind
Mind
Body
body
Stuff.
stuff.
Today's episode is titled Dark Waters, named after the song Dark Waters by Tones and I.
Okay, gotcha. I feel like we're going deep, we're going dark, possibly depressing.
Oh, it's depressing, all right, because we are talking about depression and the connection to the mind and body.
Okay, I see what you did there. You've piqued my interest. I'm ready to learn more.
We have with us here today Dr. Tracy Hellum, Associate Professor of Nursing at Montana State University.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Happy to have
Yay,
you.
we're super excited to have you here. We introduced you as Dr. Tracy. Tell us about your doctorate.
Well, first, please feel free to call me Tracy. I am a registered nurse. I'll just tell you a little bit about my background. I have a bachelor's in science of nursing, which generated a nursing degree where I became a registered nurse. And I worked at the hospital for about 6 years and then discovered that hospital nursing was not a good fit for my personality and decided to pursue graduate degrees. So I started out in a doctor of nursing program, like what produces an APRN or like a family nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And also discovered that that might not fit with my personality. So I sought a research degree. So I have a PhD in nursing. All PhDs are a doctorate of philosophy. I obtained my degree from the University of Utah. And I've been doing research for about 12 to 15 years on mental health, mostly depression, substance use disorders, and exploring ways to improve mental health through behavioral lifestyle interventions.
Wow, that's a lot of different things you've got into research, and there's so much range to it. What do you teach specifically? Because I know on top of the research, you're also teaching. So, what classes are you teaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. You had introduced me as an associate professor of nursing at Montana State University. That's accurate. I work for Montana State University. I'm on our Missoula campus. So MSU is housed in Bozeman, but the College of Nursing has 5 campuses across the state of Montana, including Missoula. So I'm physically located in
Oh, wow.
Missoula. I teach um, I teach statistics to graduate nursing students. They're in our doctor of nursing program, so their degree is a DNP, doctor of nursing practice, and they become an advanced practice registered nurse, like a nurse practitioner, either a mental health nurse practitioner or a family nurse practitioner or a certified nurse midwife.
So cool.
Wow. So, just a follow-up question to, like, what you teach and where you teach. So, you teach virtually at all those campuses?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our in-person programs are our Bachelor of Science of Nursing programs, so undergraduate degree. So our campuses, those 5 different campuses house undergraduate students. That's where our classrooms are. That's where the faculty, um, quote unquote, live. That's where they're housed. Our
Okay.
DN program is a distance delivery. So my course is delivered primarily online, and I only teach in the graduate program. So I don't teach any courses in person, just one distance delivery program class. And the majority of my time is spent conducting research studies.
Oh, wow.
Do you prefer research than teaching?
I do love teaching and I love teaching statistics. It's my favorite topic to teach. But I was trained to do research. That's what a PhD program is a training to conduct research. I would say I love them both equally. Like I love working with students. Statistics is a difficult course for many students to take. So I get really excited when they start to understand the concepts and they, make discoveries about what statistics mean and how to interpret findings. So that's super fun for me. And I also love like the spirit of inquiry with research, developing a hypothesis, collecting the data to support that hypothesis, analyze the data, and then interpret the findings. That whole process, the scientific process to me is rewarding, and I actually just love it.
Well, I'm glad you love it because I've had to conduct some research in my educational path. That is not my jam. Submitting to the IRB was the worst.
Yeah, it is a process for sure.
Oh my gosh.
On exercise in general, sports, weights, cardio, do they have different impacts on the brain?
Yep, yep. So the body of evidence on exercise is pretty consistent that it's beneficial for mood. And mood captures, depression, anxiety, um, those two aspects among other things that are a little bit more complicated than those two types of mood disorders. But the evidence is very clear that just in general, exercise is useful, like aerobic exercise, resistance training, training, yoga, tai chi, all of those types of exercises are useful for improving mood. So I don't know if there's like necessarily one that's better than the other. I think what's the important aspect is that the exercise needs to be something that a person likes enough that they continue to do it. And I think that's one part of
Absolutely.
ULA that attracts some
Mhm.
people, like Kristen, you were just saying, or like me, that it came at the time of my life where I like needed to experience, you
Yeah.
know, um, expressions or, gain some confidence in my body, whatever it is. So I think any type of exercise, whether it's ULA or it's weightlifting or running, if a person stays engaged in that activity, then that's the right type of exercise for them. Um, so there's no one, the research doesn't say that there necessarily some exercise that's better
Mhm.
than the other. Although one body of literature with exercise research does show that group fitness is more impactful than people working out alone. So I think that's another, just like plug for why ULA's works well for people as doing exercise with
Mhm.
somebody next to you, as a group mentality.
Yeah.
And you touched on the community, and for me, I love the group fitness because sometimes I need to have a little peer pressure and or somebody that's looking forward to seeing me, so you meet friends in a class and that community is big for me because it's like I need people to be like checking in with me and saying, "Hey, are you going to dance today? Am I going to see you at the gym today or whatever?" I I love that, and then I can have less excuses, and then I know that people are expecting me to be there, and then it just kind of becomes my habit, and it feels good to go there and build that community and meet people from all different walks of life and be like, "Huh, we have a lot of things different, but we also have a lot of things the same that we enjoy too."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy. I love my neuro. I'm an occupational therapist, so I love hearing about all the different things our beautiful brains do for us. Can you tell us a little bit about the theory, about tell us about the neurotransmitters of exercise and depression?
Um, Well, in the exercise research, exercise is shown to influence many neurotransmitters that are implicated in mood. So things like serotonin, that's implicated with depression, dopamine and norepinephrine. Yeah, so all of those different types of neurotransmitters have a role in mood. So with depression, there's lower levels of serotonin. That's why a common medication that's used for depression is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So it just allows for more serotonin to be available in the synapse. And then that can improve mood. Exercise does the same thing. So it doesn't necessarily do the exact same thing as an SSRI, like a medication, but it does improve or increase serotonin and thereby can improve mood. There's also another aspect called the brain-derived neurotropic factor, or BDNF, and exercise shows that supports healthy brain function. So with exercise, BDNF improves, or it goes up, or it's enhanced, and then that allows for a healthier brain. aside from like the neurotransmitters, I mean, some of the other benefits of exercise are to improve sleep. You know, we exert energy, then we need to rest. So it helps people sleep better, it reduces stress, it increases confidence, and then the strengthening of the social connections, just like we were talking about with the group fitness. So all of those factors together likely contribute to the improvements in depression related to exercise.
Amazing.
We heard about you, um, um, doing a study on depression, anxiety, and exercise with ULA Fitness. Tell us more about that, about your interest with it and about the study. What made you choose that? All the things. Tell us all the things.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll start with my dissertation because that kind of lends into, or that yeah, that lends nicely to why I transitioned to studying um, depression and ULA as an intervention for improving depression among women. My dissertation at the University of Utah involved a study of creatine monohydrate, which is a nutritional supplement for reducing comorbid depression and methamphetamine use disorder among women. That work was incredibly challenging. It's a difficult population to work with. I learned so much stuff. We did some neuroimaging. It was a longitudinal, which means a study that was conducted over time. So 12 weeks with these women. And it was really, really insightful. I learned a lot of stuff, but again, difficult population to work with. And when I moved back to Montana, I'd lived in Montana, left to go to the University of Utah for grad school, came back to Montana. I conducted one study of methamphetamine use disorder in Missoula and ran into one of my study participants at the grocery store when I was like with my child and I was pregnant. And I felt a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
discovered or decided that it was time for me to transition to a different topic. And since I was an expert in depression, that was part of my dissertation, I decided to take the depression piece of my work and not do the substance use portion of it at that time. I also at that time had experienced two consecutive pregnancy losses and was kind of a disaster.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily have depression, but I had was going through a lot of difficult emotions, et cetera, and I went to the YMCA in Missoula. It was shortly after ULA had started and Bernice was teaching a class at the YMCA.
Yeah.
I had no intention of going to an ULA class. I was like, "I'm going to the YMCA, I'm gonna work out," and I could hear her yelling, like typical Bernice way of yelling, and I walked into the group fitness room and I was like, "This is exactly what I need. I need ULA." And, through that, I met Kaylee, and I had just told her about my pregnancy losses, and she was, talking about how she has observed that Lula was so helpful to many people. And so
Yeah.
that was my deciding factor of like, okay, I'm going to look at ULA as an intervention for depression among women, since I was an expert in depression research among women. And so it started with a survey study that we conducted across the nation. We discovered from that survey that one of the main reasons that people engaged in ULA was because of depression or to improve their mood. And so from that finding, then we did a longitudinal intervention study of ULA with just one arm, meaning there was no like control group. And then and the findings were incredible. So it was really, it was meaningful work. It meant a lot to me, and it was really fun to just observe people finding something that was useful for the depression outside of using, medications or other traditional therapies that don't work for all people.
That's so cool. And so many different layers that, like, got you to your path and, like, guided you through your path too.
I'm assuming you didn't go to the first class and go, "I need to do a study about this." Was it over time you thought, "Wow, there's really something special about the way that this makes me feel. It's different than anything else." And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just saying, what was it that made you study this over like, "Oh, I jog every day for a mile," you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Or did you go to one class and decide?
I mean, I was hooked on that first class. I am trying to remember, I can kinda remember the choreography for one of the songs where I was like, I never had heard this song in my life, and so I was like, "What a cool song," and people are dancing to it in a way that just felt like it totally made sense. It'll come to me at some point, but I think it did happen, Melissa, faster than I had anticipated, where everything sort of where I had identified that ULA felt like such a good fit as a modality for depression that I probably went to like, classes for maybe 3 months. I don't know this for certain, but, uh,
Yeah.
it wasn't a long period of time of attending ULA before I decided to formally investigate it as an intervention. And of course, I had noticed that there was something different about ULA than other types of physical activity. The thing I think that stuck out the most to me was the use of the voice because you don't. That's not something that's seen very often in other, at least in my experience. Like for example, of yoga, which I had previously done. There's not a lot of voice use with that. Currently, I do CrossFit, and every now and then people make noise, but it's not super common, you know what I mean? So I think I had noticed that
Uh-huh.
that was
Yeah.
really different about ULA than other types of physical activity. And then also the thing that I thought was super interesting in my experience with ULA was the relationship with the mirror. Like, I had never done physical activity in front of a mirror before, and it was pretty uncomfortable when I first started, and I would only look at my feet. And then as time had gone on, I would started to look at, like, my body or at my face, and I thought that was super unique and not something that you find in other types of physical activity. So, the use of the voice, obviously the community, which is a huge aspect of the and then the interactions with the mirror, I think are pretty unique aspects to Google that could be useful for people that are struggling with mood disorders.
I love that you mentioned voice because you may or may not know that I am a singer. Um, and and I feel like I found more of my voice in ULA, where it's accepted. And because there's been times in my life, and anyone can say I'm a singer, whether you're good or bad, right? And I since doing ULA and singing in class, and people like, "Oh, you're such a good singer," or people say, "Are you a singer?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. I like to sing." And now I just say, "I'm a singer."
Mhm,
Because
Hell
I
yeah.
regularly do it. I sing, I enjoy it. That means I confidently say, "I am a singer."
mhm,
Um, and I feel like I recently took a bar class, and I took I don't know if you call it, what do you call it? Not hit.
Pilates.
Maybe what is that word? Tabata maybe? Where it's the timing,
Tabata.
right? Where it's like a minute
Yeah.
and 20 seconds or whatever recovery, right? They're offered at a gym that I teach at. And I was like, "Oh, I can go to this class." And no one
mhm,
makes a sound. And I
Mm-mm.
was singing and the teacher said, um and I was clearing the back because I was like, "I don't usually do this. I'm kind of nervous. They're lifting weights, you know?" And, she goes, "Oh, you know what? You can tell that there's an ULA person here because I hear somebody singing." And I was like, "Yep, that's me, and I can't stop myself because
yeah,
it's part of my
And nor should you.
enjoyment. It's
mhm,
part of my
Yeah.
expression, and sometimes you just know there's that lyric there, like from Pink or somebody that you're like, 'Oh, I'm gonna say this right now,'
mhm,
and, like, 'Don't hustle me,' or something, where you just always want and it is for me too, I'm agreeing with you. It is something that I found that is different.
mhm. Well, and the dancing component of it, like, I don't know, I don't think I had a ton of physical body confidence at that stage in my life when I had started Ula, and so it was pretty awkward to, like, think about moving my body in that way when I didn't feel super confident. And it took me I mean, like, I remember, maybe 5 years ago, the first wedding that I had attended since doing Ula, I felt like a babe on that wedding dance floor. I was like, "Come
Hell
on."
yeah.
I'm like, "I can move," even though some of it was, like,
Yeah.
fast movements, but prior to Ula, I never felt like that, you know what I mean? I'd be very, very shy or nervous or just, like, timid about moving my body in that way, so I think, yeah,
Yeah.
dancing, the mirror, the community, all of those aspects are different than other types of physical fitness.
Mhm.
It's so special because it, like, fully allows you to, like, be yourself in however you want to be. I feel like, Tracy, you don't know me very well, but I'm naturally a loud person, and I felt like I was always growing up and stuff, I was always told, like, "You're being too loud, quiet down," like, almost
Same,
like and it felt
same.
almost in a way like my personality was getting dimmed because it was like, "Sorry, I'm loud. I just don't know what to tell you. That's just how I am."
Mhm.
And then, like, getting to go into space and just, like, grunt and, like, make these loud noises, sing at the top of my lungs. And I totally agree with you, Tracy, too, of, like, I found Ula when I was in college, wasn't feeling super great about my body, like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, okay, let me just touch myself during this
Mhm.
song," and it like, my confidence totally shifted as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Just has so much power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Taking it back to that longitudinal study that we conducted, we measured depression and anxiety. Both of them are severity tools. So the Hamilton Depression Rating Scale, and then we used a similar one for anxiety and measured
Okay.
those throughout the whole study, and both of them were shown to go down with ULA practice. Although it's important to bring up again that there wasn't a control group, so it was just one group. Everybody did ULA. So that doesn't allow us to know like a cause and effect. When there's a randomized control trial, you can make some assumptions about cause and effect without that control group. We don't know for certain that it was ULA that caused that reduction because we didn't compare it to anything. But in our group of women that participated in ULA for that period of time, we saw a reduction in depression and anxiety. And it was pretty remarkable for some people that that reduction was really like steep, like it reduced really quickly and then it persisted at being lower than it was at the beginning for both depression and anxiety.
and these are people that were consistently doing ULA classes?
Yeah, they were
Like, that's how they maintain persistence?
I mean that yeah, exactly. That could be one thought that the continued engagement in ULA caused the continued lower level of depression and anxiety. Or, again, because there was no control group, it could have been 1,000 other reasons. But
Okay.
you know, we feel confident in saying that ULA had a role in reducing those, mood markers, both depression and anxiety.
I mean, I'm sold. I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I went on vacation. I didn't do ULA, I think, for over a week. And then I did ULA on Tuesday. And I can tell you that I used the phrases, "This is the best day ever." I
Nice.
also "This is the best day of my life,"
Mhm. Yeah.
somewhere during that class because and I also am just in awe of, like, when I go to a class and where I'm just like, "Wow, is it really this fun every single time?"
Mhm. Another thing I love about ULA is, like, obviously, the music is a huge component of it, but
Sure.
I don't currently participate in ULA, but I still have, like, a million ULA playlists, and I can
Mhm.
literally feel like I'm back in a class just from, like, playing a playlist, and this is, like,
Yeah.
60-year-old ULA songs, but I'll be like,
Yeah.
if I need and I have them labeled as different things, the angsty ULA list or the sad ULA list or whatever it
Sure.
is, and I could just plug that thing in and listen to that or the happy one, whatever I need on that day, and it feels just like I'm back in an ULA class, which I think is an also very unique aspect of ULA.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know what you think about this question. Do you because you've done this research and because of your experience and because of what you do you have any advice, for a person that you might know that they have depression and anxiety or maybe that they've expressed that to you, and they are just starting, like, as they start to think about, like, "Should I start an exercise program?" I mean, obviously, the answer is yes, but do you have other advice for them?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good question, and I think, like, it's easy, like, I don't have depression, so it's easy for me to be like, "Oh, you're depressed, you should go exercise." I don't know what that's like to not be motivated. I've always had a lot of motivation for movement, like, that's a very important part of my life. But I don't think, I know that that's a barrier to individuals with depression to engaging in physical activity is that lack of motivation. So I think starting small would be
Yeah.
would be some good advice. Like it could be something as simple as, putting on, fitness shoes one day and like seeing just how the shoes feel. And then maybe the next day they put the shoes on and they walk, you know, 400 meters or something. You know what I mean? Starting small and then just like allowing the confidence to build with all the increments of like getting more involved in exercise. I also think it's important to note that like exercise isn't necessarily the replacement for traditional treatment. And sometimes it requires like a person starting traditional treatment for depression, like taking a medication, and then that motivation, is improved a little bit and they can get engaged in physical activity. So yeah, starting small would be my advice, finding something with social support, of course, and then ensuring that other types of treatment might be in place to allow for success and being engaged in physical activity. Does that make sense?
That makes
Mhm.
sense, and it's a multi-pronged approach because, like you're saying, everybody's different, and
Mhm,
so they might need to consult with their doctor first and have one strategy, and then they can get to the part where they do something, and I think start small is such a great idea because literally the first step out the door or just standing up can be the hardest thing,
mhm,
and,
Mhm.
sometimes you're in your mind, especially if there's, like, anxiety going on, you might say, "Oh, I really wanna run a half marathon like somebody else did or a 5K," or whatever it is, and then sometimes you just overthink it and go, "Nope, I can't do that. I'll just I'll just stay here." But you could give yourself, say, "I'm gonna go walk for 10 minutes." They could be around my house. They could be just down the block, and I
Yeah.
and I have been there before where I'm just like, "You know what? I have this video that says it's a 12-minute workout. I'm gonna see if I can even like stand this person that's on this video." And then I kind of got addicted to it and was like, I did it 5 times in a row and was like, "Wow, that felt so good." And now that's an hour. 12 minutes and
I
then
mean,
24 minutes. Like, can I do 12 more minutes?
mhm,
that was even me after work today. I didn't wanna do anything, but I was like, "It's so nice outside, I gotta go do something," and then I was just debating for too long, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have enough time." So I literally pulled up the video game Just Dance on my Switch,
mm,
and I picked 3 songs, and I
Love
felt
it so
so much
much.
better.
Yeah.
'Cause it was like, I don't have enough time to do a short ULA class plus the motivation to stream it to my
Yeah.
TV. Didn't wanna deal with that. So I just did Just Dance, and I felt so much better afterwards.
I
And
love that.
also, like, you know, if you hadn't done anything, it's not the end of the world. You could be like, "You know what? I'm gonna try again tomorrow and don't need to beat myself up. I'm not the
You're
worst
right.
person in the world."
You
I
are
I
right,
could write
right.
down a list for tomorrow and be like, "This is what I wanna do tomorrow."
Mhm.
And that's great too.
Just
Yes.
keep trying.
Yeah.
Just keep
I also think
trying.
like some advice could be for a person to just observe. Like we did have that a part of the study that I referred to earlier, the one that we where we collected data over time. The initial like we gave our participants the option of doing ULA online for 4 weeks just so they could get used to the choreography and like see what it's like to remove that like fear of like, can I figure this out or
Yeah.
what's gonna go? But most people had elected to just go to the classes and not do ULA online, but I almost wonder, like, for if people just sat in on a class, a half of a class, just sat in the back and watched any type of exercise program, you know what I mean? Just, like, that could be advice for starting a program is just, like, get there, even if it's just an observation, and then they might decide to do it the next but just seeing what it looks like and realizing, feeling the energy or whatever it is.
Yeah, 'cause see, um, sometimes people hear dance and they're like, "Nope, out, not doing it," because as, like, freeing dance can also be a really scary thing. Because, like you said, doing it in front of other people, being worried about not getting the moves down.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, and
You
everybody's
need
moving together the same way, so I can see that being very intimidating for an individual that's not feeling well with
for
depression or
sure.
anxiety. It might be like, "Oh, that's just way too overwhelming," but I love that
Yeah.
there's the option to do so much fitness on, online in the safety of someone's home, and then as confidence and momentum is built, taking it out into a group setting.
Yeah, that's great to point out, and it can be super intimidating because a lot of things the whole world over, you have to do it right. And yeah, that's a great thing about being able to like check it out at home first, or that's why I like to go to a class sometimes. If it's a new class, I'll ask a buddy. And I'm an instructor of multiple formats, and I still get intimidated because I still think, "Oh, I'm not gonna know what to do. I'm not gonna know
Mhm,
how to lift the weights. I'm gonna look silly." And I don't know, after you do it so many times, you still have to just be like, "I can do this."
mhm.
I have to shake it off.
Yeah, sometimes I hear people say things like, "I need to get in shape before I'll do that type of physical activity." Which it is, I mean, I understand that perspective for sure,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
really,
And
like,
yeah.
hop in the room and let's get going, you know what I mean? It's easy for me to say that, but it's like, it's easy to come up with a lot of different reasons to not just engage, but people will get in shape as they, you know what I mean, or get more confident. I don't really like to use the
Sure.
term in shape, but it's like the confidence comes just with time. So it doesn't,
Mhm.
it doesn't require like an entry into
Absolutely.
the activity.
Yeah. In shape is kind of like it's everybody's interpretation, a judgment of their own body or an expectation of what the world tells you in shape should be or something. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, almost means nothing to me anymore. I'm A shape, and I'm coming with this shape.
Mhm, exactly.
I like that. I like that a
Uh,
lot. Tracy, where can we read about your studies, any other research you've done?
Pretty much all of the studies that I have published are indexed in PubMed. So PubMed is like a database that houses publications. So
Mhm.
PubMed would be the best place to look for all of the research that I've done. And just by typing my last name, Hellum, Hellem, in the search bar of PubMed should pull up any article that's been published by my name.
And if there's any other research you've conducted that we're curious about hearing.
Mhm. The research I've been focused on for the last several years, which ironically had started with I wrote a grant. This has been the unfortunate thing about ULA research is that I have not successfully been able to convince the scientific community about the importance of doing ULA research. I've written many research grants for funding to continue doing the ULA research. It's been very difficult to be successful in that area, but the most recent ULA grant that I wrote, which was just really a couple years ago, was on postpartum depression and using ULA, which I thought would have been, I mean, I was convinced it was the best grant that was ever written. Apparently, the reviewers did not share
of
that
course.
enthusiasm with me.
Oh,
And it's hard to tell the story of ULA scientifically. I always
Mhm.
feel like, oh, should we call it something different? And then people will understand it better if it's not called ULA. But I'm like, why would I
mhm.
change what ULA is just for the scientific community to believe me? So anyway, I became very interested in working with pregnant populations after writing that grant. I mean, writing a grant takes, like up to like a year plus
Yeah, it's a lot
doing
of
the research
work.
for the background information. So I became pretty interested in pregnant communities after writing that grant. So it was a grant on doing ULA for postpartum depression. We tried to think of all these creative ways for like childcare, all these things. I felt like again it was amazingly written, but was not funded. But that did lead to a lot of my current work. So I've been working with pregnant women who use substances during pregnancy and finding ways to help them engage in treatment and how to access treatment and stay engaged in it. And I've been working in rural communities in Montana and then looking at different like models for improving access to treatment using like nurse midwives and pharmacists So that's been a ton of fun. That's been a really, um, meaningful, like, population to work with. Like you s
In general, do you travel, um, for this study of this population?
I have been, yeah, I've been traveling to Lake County and just getting to know, like, the
Okay.
community of Lake County better and trying to understand what the needs are in the perinatal substance use community. We just recently finished a study that was looking at some midwife-led model to improve access to, like, Suboxone for perinatal opioid use disorder. So that we're writing the findings of that, and in the meantime, while I'm, trying to figure out next steps, I've been engaged with Lake County to really understand, like, what is it that the women in that area need to address perinatal substance use.
I'm just curious because there's so much to research that people don't always
Mhm,
realize that is happening behind the scenes. I've in grad or even in college, I had to conduct my own research study, and then like there's just so much to it. So I'm
mhm,
curious on what's your favorite part of research
mhm.
and what's your least favorite part of research.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. My favorite part is probably writing the grant. Like, I like thinking about all the different pieces that have to fit together in order to actually do the work.
Mhm.
Um, because like you just said, there's a lot that goes into it. It's like a person has to think about what, they have to develop specific aims. And then from the aims, they have to think of the method that will be used to address the aims. And the method could be qualitative or it could be quantitative. And then, you know, depending on if
Mhm.
it's qualitative or quantitative, then what kind of data collection will be used. So that's definitely my favorite part is putting together all those puzzle pieces. Second to that is the analysis. I said earlier that I teach statistics in our graduate program. I love doing quantitative analysis, and I also serve as the statistical consultant of our college. So I love being immersed in data. Like that's a ton of
That's badass.
yeah. My least favorite is yeah, troubleshooting the issues, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
propose it well, actually, my least favorite part is when my grants aren't selected for funding, that's painful. Because, again, I think my ideas are great, and so it's
Yeah.
trying to convince the reviewers that they're great can be pretty it's just difficult, but I have had a lot of success with funding, so it's not I'm very fortunate.
So you're a really
But
good grant writer. So
Yeah.
that's what we
right.
got going on here. I think that if I was a researcher, I do not like the grant writing part. I don't think I
Mhm.
like that part. I think I want all the things to already happen magically, get the money, and then I want to read the results.
If you can magically get the money, just let me know your s
The grant writing sounds really difficult to me. It sounds really difficult. So we
yeah.
need people in the world that enjoy that process and can put all that thought behind that. That's
Yeah, it is pretty fun. I love that part of it.
I think I would like to follow with a bonkers question,
Mm.
and I'm labeling it a bonkers question.
Oh,
Tracy,
yeah.
I saw your I read about like your bio on the university websites. I saw you had some cool tattoos. I would like to know, have you done any research or you plan any research on tattoos?
Well, that is a good question. I do not have any plans to do research on
The
but it would
cooler
be
the tattoo, the cooler the person, the better the grant writer, the brighter the tattoo. I
I
don't
know,
know.
how would you measure the coolness of a tattoo, though? Because it
I'll
all
write
could
a criteria for coolness. I can write it. I'll write it for you.
That's what the grant she'll write. That's the grant she'll write.
It can help, just only a little bit. But if it gets too hard, I'm out.
Alright, next grant is on the coolness of tattoos and how to measure it.
I like it. I only have one tattoo. I'm a little bit scared of it.
Yeah.
I'm a little
You're
bit.
scared of it?
I don't know. I'm scared of it. I do want to get another one now.
I thought I was done
Yeah.
getting tattoos, but one of my best friends just recently got a tattoo, and then I started thinking, "Okay,
Getting the itch for it.
what do I wanna
I
do?"
know
Where's my next tattoo
there's
gonna be?
something so cool about it, but this is what stops me every time as I look at these like graphs of a body, and it'll say, "Where's the most painful part?" And then I
Why
will
would you do
choose.
that to
I
yourself?
don't know, the internet showed it to me, and because I was I'm, like, looking for, like, "Oh, I wanted one in honor of my dog," and then
Yeah,
I don't know, it just pops up and then it says all these painful places, and I'm like, "Oh, no. I don't wanna
yeah,
think about the pain of it because what if I pass out? What if
right.
I that's so
Okay, well,
embarrassing.
I
What
can
if it"
tell you what I mean, I only have, like, my arm and my back done, but I will tell you, I mean, I had a home birth with my son. I gave birth to my son in my living room with
Oh my
no
goodness.
drugs, and I got my tricep tattooed, and it was worse than childbirth. I was so unhappy with that
I
tricep.
can't.
It would hurt so
See?
the skin is so thin right there that it
Yeah.
was
Tracy, I'm speechless that you did a home birth with no meds, nothing.
and the
That
tattoo was
sounds
worse, yeah, the
that's
tattoo.
so
My
wild.
yes, okay. My cousin, I went to go get a tattoo with her, and she has several tattoos, and she also had 3 children that were, like, over 9 pounds, you know,
Oh my
no
gosh.
crazy medications or anything, um, and she was getting a tattoo on this like, the side of her foot,
Mm,
and she was like, "Oh my gosh," she was losing it a little bit, and it was making me lose it. I was like, "Oh, no. What can I do to help you? Because I've never seen you like this. I've never seen you like this, and it's making me very worried." I
nervous,
know this tattoo's
yeah,
only gonna be 5 minutes, but I was like, "Wow, she's been through all these" and it's a different kind of pain, you know,
mhm,
uh, childbirth pain, different kind of
yeah.
pain, reward, we forget about it, all the drugs flooding your natural drugs flooding your body, but then subjecting yourself or volunteering for, "Hey, put this thing on my body with a needle." Um,
But
she
you do
I w
forget about that
she
pain too. That pain, you do not remember it, you know what I mean,
but
after
I
the
was
tattoo's
surprised
done.
that it was like she was like, "That hurts so bad," and I was like, "You are saying that that hurt?" And that's why I said, "I need to go first because if I see someone else saying this hurts, I'm gonna be like, 'Nope, I'm outta here. I don't
Change
want
my
those
mind.
thoughts.'" But tattoos are so cool. I wanna be
Yeah,
cool.
you're very cool.
Oh my gosh.
Aw. Well, Tracy, one thing we like to ask all of our Ula podcast joiners, everything above, what is your favorite Ula dance song?
Mm, I love that question. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to just give you one. I wrote down 4 that
Oh,
Let's hear
yeah.
them.
'kay,
We're
also, like,
ready.
full disclosure, I haven't done Ula in, like, 6 years, so the songs
Nothing
my
wrong
favorite
with
ones are
that.
from, they're
Okay,
old schooler.
okay.
Yeah, I love Mad Love. Is that Mabel? Is that who sings that? Yeah,
Yes.
and the
Madeline.
What is it?
choreography
Oh,
to it is perfect, you know what I mean?
That's
okay.
such a good song.
Yeah. I love Physical. Is that Dua Lipa?
Dua Lipa,
Dua
Yeah.
yeah.
Lipa,
And I
I
never
love.
hear that song out in the world. I'm always so disappointed. Like, I
I
heard it
don't
one
either.
time at the gym I go to now, but it's like it's never played it rarely ever played on the radio, but I love it, and the choreography to it is obviously amazing. So those are 2, like, faster songs that I like, and then I like Unraveling for, like, for the final song. Is that what it's called these days? The final song? The last
Cool
song?
down.
And then The Flower. I think that's, is it The Flower and the Gun, or is it just
Flower in the Gun. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
mhm.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Believer is
Makes
also
sense.
super fun, high impact song. I
such
love
a good
that one.
one.
Oh!
Yeah, Lash Out, that's another favorite. I love that one.
Oh,
There's so
yeah.
many good songs. Yeah.
Lash Out. Yep. That's another one.
I miss dancing to Ula. I always tell myself, like, "Just go to a class," but
You know what? Here's the thing, is you can come back at any time and you're always
totally.
welcome. And
Yeah,
you
I did
know
go
that.
to a class not too long ago, and I, like, knew half the songs, and I felt super happy about that. I was like, "Alright, I can still do
Yeah.
this."
And
Yeah. Kristen, what are you thinking about your song?
today, I don't know, these are giving me, like, mad love. When Tracy said that, that song brings me so much joy.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, when else do you shake your booty like that, you know what I mean?
I'm all about shaking the booty, slapping the floor.
Today, I'm feeling, Glorious, the Ella Henderson one. There's a part where I don't know, there's a lot of stuff about saying, basically stop listening to the world about, things that are considered your imperfections and about, that beauty is there's a million kinds of beauty.
Mhm,
right? And you might as well know that you are beautiful. Yeah. And it's like we're gonna time goes by so fast. You might as well know that you're a warrior and you're glorious and all those things.
mhm,
Very lovely. And boy, is there some opportunities to sing in that song. Which which feels so good. And yeah, singing's I feel like it's part of breathing, because people
mhm.
say, "Oh, it's hard to sing, when you're breathing so hard," but I just feel like just let out a couple notes. Just let it go. Well, that was lovely. Tracy, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a champion and a researcher and an advocate for health and especially women's health.
Yeah,
You're such an inspiration in your field, and like your research is fascinating. We can't wait to see more, and we're so happy we got to talk to you today.
oh, well, thanks for having me. You go find that money for that postpartum depression and ULA study. Thanks, ladies.